right. Welcome, everyone, to the Guillotine League. If I heard it correctly, I think all of you have never played in a Guillotine-style fantasy league before, so it's a lot of fun. Definitely like 10 times more exciting than your average fantasy league, so it's a lot of fun. I did one for the first time last year and loved it, so now I'm in two this year, including this one. So, yeah. I'm Eric, by the way, co-commissioner. Friends of Ryan. I know a lot of you are friends of Ryan, but I know probably about half of you as well. But yeah, the last year when I was in Guillotine League, the commissioner did this weekly kind of update on the league for the team that got eliminated and just kind of how the last week went, free agency acquisitions and whatnot. So there's not a ton to report on this week, just kind of a baseline run through of how everyone's looking after the draft and leading into week one. But yeah, let's get into it. Tonight, of course, we've got Lions at Chiefs. Should be a good one. Hopefully a shootout in terms of just watching good football and probably fantasy purposes as well. Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under is 53, so I'm really hoping we hit the over on that. I'm hammering the Lions money line. I know this is unrelated to fantasy, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Lions got this locked up. So yeah, after the draft, these are everyone's week one projected scores based on your lineup as it stands about midday on Thursday. Ryan, I'm calling collusion. Ryan's the commissioner and he's projected the highest. There's no other explanation. Actually, the only team projected over 100 points. So yeah, Jack Potter down there at the bottom. Projected 89. Raised within margins here. The bottom is 89 and the top is just 100. So really anyone can lose here. I don't think anyone is necessarily a favorite to be eliminated, although Sleeper is saying that is Jack Potter, unfortunately. But projections are projections, so let's just keep going. Every week I'll go over how everyone's doing in terms of their fab budget. Right now everyone still has 100, so there's 1,800 still left in circulation. Not much to say here. Every week I'm also going to be giving everyone accolades. The highest scoring team every week gets a star. If you're in the top 25%, you get a flame. And I should say there's going to be a slide for every team later, so they'll start adding up on your team's slide as the year goes on. Bottom 25%, you get the ice cube, and if you are the second lowest scoring team, meaning you didn't get eliminated but you were that close to, you get a trash can. Because obviously if you're eliminated, you can't get an accolade because you're gone. Okay, week one. This is a little scatter plot between two different sources. Sleeper, obviously, because that's where we're doing the league, and a website called Fantasy Calc. So I plugged in our league into Fantasy Calc to see how that compares to Sleeper. And essentially here, if you're in the top right in the green, both Sleeper and Fantasy Calc thinks you have a good team. You're pretty set, at least for week one. A lot will change with free agency as the year goes on. It's really up to how everyone does in that regard. If you're in the top left, Fantasy Calc likes your team, but Sleeper doesn't as much. That includes me and a couple others. Bottom right, Sleeper likes you, but Fantasy Calc does not. It's another big handful of people there. Bottom left is really just where you don't want to be. Both sources do not like you. That includes Jack, JC, Cooper, and Joey. So everything's pretty up in the air, but I guess in theory you four are the least likely to make it out of week one. So, yeah. So, yeah, in summary, you don't want to be in the bad section, in the bad of both sources. So, everyone else is pretty set. In the good, we have Ryan, Kennedy, Basali, Ben, and Johnny, and pretty much the rest. Big chunk is in the up in the air. All right, I'm going to go team by team here. Kind of give my recap and my thoughts on everyone's draft and how they look going into week one. Starting here with Jake. First off, I will say that is some immaculate form there on that jumper. We'll get that out of the way. Went Patrick Mahomes first overall. I'm going to go through these teams in order of draft picks, but going forward, it's going to be based on how you actually performed the previous week in order of best to worst. But Jake takes Mahomes at the one overall. Obviously, a lot of people questioning that decision because he doesn't get to pick for 35 more picks and there's a lot of skill position drop off in that time. But hey, take your guy. Mahomes should be great. Should get you a lot of points every week. It's just definitely going to hurt the rest of your team. Didn't get a receiver until round 5, and he gets Mike Williams, not even a respective wide receiver 1 on his own team. But took some shots on Odell, Thielen, Van Jefferson without Cooper Kupp. Should be a good play. I think he has a chance here to be fine. Everyone's team is thin in some aspect, but for him it's definitely receiver. But projected the 2nd overall, so I can't really say anything. He is, by sleepers standards, the 2nd best projected team. Okay. John Lamb, chewing on a fishbone over here. Went 2 receivers in the first 2 rounds. Justin Jefferson, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, you're banking on him returning to some form on the Jaguars here, so that's a little bit of a risk. Went really heavy on the rookies. Both of his quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson and Stroud, are rookies. He's got rookies, JSN, Tank Dell, and Kendre Miller. So just really banking on some of these rookies hitting, I think, for him. And his running backs are okay. I think they're a little shaky. People are murmuring out there that Alexander Mattison can't be an RB1 in the NFL. So we'll see how that goes. And Gibson, I think it's still TBD on how the Commanders use Gibson and Brian Robinson, but he may not be the RB1 there. But projected 5th, should be pretty good this week. Ben, coming up with Ben, 3rd overall pick, takes McCaffrey. Pretty safe pick, barring any injury. The big question here is why he took a defense so early. He's confidently took the 49ers, so, everyone has their own strategy. You might argue that there's so much skill drop-off that taking a defense that early is just not the right move. You need to fill up on those running backs and wide receivers. But, hey, he can do what he wants. I won't knock it until he gets eliminated. Projected to be the 6th best team this week. 3 non-wide receiver running backs in his first 6 picks, taking a tight end, quarterback, and a defense. I think he's the only person that did that for sure, because no one else took a defense that early. So a lot of drop-off in his wide receiver after Jalen Waddle. We'll see how that goes for him. But decent-looking team. Next we got JC. Taking Chase at the 4, getting 2 running backs and 2 receivers in the first 4 rounds. I think that's usually a safe move unless you're getting like a stud tight end or quarterback. Rodgers should be solid. Really the only thing I'm seeing about this team that's a little risky is the tight end position. Kincaid being a rookie tight end. I have nothing against Kincaid or anything. Just from a fantasy perspective, we know that it is not normal for rookie tight ends to perform in their rookie year. No matter how good of a prospect you are. But he's looking for Kincaid to break that streak, but has Conklin as a safety net, I guess. Decent looking team here. I think he's got pretty good chances to be safe week 1. All right. Kennedy went with Kelsey, and that is now, in retrospect, a questionable move. I mean, it really was not a questionable move, but now Travis Kelsey is questionable to play tonight. So we'll see if he does play. He's also got Gibbs at the 2, so he has his first 2 picks playing tonight. Big night for Ryan Kennedy. But really the only thing I have against this team here is Kelsey potentially not playing tonight, but he went and picked up wow, I'm blanking on the guy's name. The backup tight end on the Chiefs. Noah Gray. Duh. So he has Noah Gray to fill in for Kelsey if need be tonight. The only other thing to mention on his team is P. Ryan being his RB2. Might not get too much unless Jamal or Javonte Williams is on a pitch count, and Deion Jackson I don't think is going to be the starter for the Colts, but I could be wrong. There's a lot up in the air with that. Overall, projected to be the 3rd best team this week. All right, Jack Potter, powered by the T. Went heavy on receivers. 4 of his first 5 picks were receivers, and it hurt his running backs drastically. Devin Achane is his 2nd I'm probably mispronouncing that guy's name. He's a rookie, but A-Chain is his running back 2, so that's tough. I'm not really sure what the Dolphins' backfield is going to look like this year, but I don't think A-Chain is a 1 or 2, so we'll see how that goes. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not doing him any help either. I remember he got auto-drafted Dalton Schultz after Brock Purdy, so that's kind of funny. 3 tight ends here. I don't think he wanted Schultz, but you got to live with what you get, I guess. I should mention he is projected 18th here, I think because of that really weak second running back spot, and Cooper Kupp not playing. That's another huge thing I forgot to mention right off the bat. It's a tough look for Jack. He is absolutely the favorite to be eliminated this week, but there's just so much randomness with injuries and everything else that goes on week 1 that I wouldn't sweat too much. I think everyone's got a pretty much equal chance of being gone this week. All right, Ryan, the commissioner. I honestly really like this team. I can't argue much with it, and he's also projected by Sleeper to be the number 1 team this week, breaking 100 as the only team projected to break 100. I'm biased in the Burrow and Higgins moves here, but I think those are great players. Really not a lot of weaknesses here. I think going Everett late is a great tight end to get later in the draft. And I think obviously the Commanders have the arguably best matchup going into week 1 playing the Cardinals, so not a lot of weaknesses here. Ryan should be safe. Fingers crossed. All right, Hugh. Only team in the league to go 2 running backs in the first 2 rounds, so he is very strong at running back, you might say. And receivers, I think he made some good value picks at receiver. If DeAndre Hopkins is anything like he used to be in just last year, I think he could be great. There's just not great quarterback play in Tennessee, but Christian Kirk and Elijah Moore I think are good picks. Tua should be fine. Higbee's a good PPR play. Without Cooper Kupp, I think Higbee's even a better play. So not a lot of weaknesses here. The Patriots defense is like year over year the best fantasy defense. I think they play the Eagles week 1 though, so that's a tough matchup, but it's the Patriots defense, so can never really bet against them. Projected to be the 8th. TVR, Mr. V. Heavy on the running backs. Very heavy on the running backs early in the draft, going 3 of the first 4 rounds, taking running backs with Herbert there at the 2 in the second round. The only issue here is taking Jonathan Taylor. I think that has some potential upside, but it's also extremely risky in this kind of a league where you need guys playing week 1. Your 4th round pick, if your 4th round pick isn't playing, that's going to hurt you. So we'll see how that works out for him. I think he has good running backs. Receivers are a little shaky with Tony/Dobbs as his wide receiver 2. So, yeah, I mean, you might have to start all 3 of those if he has to put one in the flex. I think Kittle's a good tight end play, great value that he got him in the 6th round. People are fading him a lot just because he seems to be injury prone, but I think that's a great pick. Projected 15th. I know it's a little low, but I think this team has some potential minus the Jonathan Taylor. Mitchell, taking Chubb in the 1st. I think this team's got a solid foundation. I think my big question mark is Laporta. I've already given my piece on rookie tight ends. Laporta also has great prospect. A lot of good things hearing about him from camp, but he's a rookie, so you never know how well he's actually going to perform. I think the other thing to note on this team here is Michael Thomas. If Michael Thomas can return to any kind of form that he used to be with Derek Carr at quarterback now, I think that could be a great pick for him. But yeah, not a ton of weak points here on this team. I think this team's got some solid foundation, projected to be the 10th. All right, Basali. Wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. Very solid. And then getting Mike Evans and Sutton later, especially with Judy potentially out week 1. I think that's just kind of a stud wide receiver core. I can't really argue with it. Running backs, though, are a little questionable. Rashad White's fine. Kamara is suspended. McKinnon as his RB2 isn't great, but not the worst. I mean, he has the upside to put up 20-plus points as we saw last year. But I don't think that's a guarantee. Should be a shootout today, though, so that definitely bodes well for McKinnon's upside, as I believe it will be his starting RB2 this week. Yeah, Dulcich. I don't love Dulcich, but tight ends are going to be thin in a league like this. So we'll see how that works out. No Judy, I guess. Dulcich volume could be increased for sure. All right, had to step away for a sec, but now I'm back. Dude, guys, I'm excited. Freaking football's back. All right, let's finish these reviews, team reviews. We got James here with the 12th pick. Takes CeeDee Lamb, comes back, takes Lamar. Also gets Waller, so goes heavy on everything but running back. This is probably the most true to the 0 RB drafting strategy that anyone's done. Really is. I think this is going to hurt him. Charbonnet is his RB1. He doesn't have a single RB1 on his roster. So that's going to hurt. Foreman's not going to be the RB1 there. I think he might even be the RB3. Spears is only good if Henry goes down. I'm not loving the look here, but some value picks. Puka Nacua could be good, especially given that Kupp is out week 1. Decent receivers, though, across the board. So I guess that's all I have to say. Good team besides the running backs. Projected to be the 7th this week. All right, Phil. Gosh, this picture gets me every time. It's a great one. Philip has a pretty good team here. Running backs early. I think that'll pay off for him. Receivers are a little weak, especially considering Terry McLaurin, I believe, is questionable going into week 1. Maybe he's been cleared. I cannot confirm that right now. I think there's a good chance he plays or only misses like 1 week, but that's the thing. Missing 1 week could cost Philip his life in this. Gosh, I cannot look at that picture. It's like slightly terrifying. But overall, his team's pretty good across the board. Okonkwo went late on tight end. Could be good. Just Titans. I'm kind of just avoiding the Titans this year, but that's just my. That's me. Not everyone has to do that. Potentially got the Giants wide receiver 1 very late, so that's a nice pick there. Phil's projected to be the 11th. All right, Cooper. Strutting his stuff there in that, I don't know what that is, a robe, but looking good. Went for Derrick Henry in the first round, got Josh Allen coming back, so went for one of those big hitter quarterbacks. Also went pretty early on tight end in this draft, getting Goddard in the 4th. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense, so Goddard's been good, but I think it's tough to say. Probably a good floor play though, but in my opinion, maybe a little early for just a good floor play. Yeah, not a ton of weaknesses here. I guess his receivers and running backs are a little bit weak in terms of depth because he went early on quarterback and tight end, but that's about all I have to say. He's projected 16th, so Sleeper isn't loving him, but I think he's also in that bottom left corner of that chart I showed earlier. So not a great look for him, but I think everyone's got their fair chance to survive this week. All right, coming to the end, close to the end, we got Joey's team. He has another team here. It's in the red on both platforms. Taking Pollard in the first, Andrews in the second. I like Andrews. I think taking any tight end besides Kelsey early is a risk, if you ask me. But it could also be a big reward if Mark Andrews, returns to his tight end 1 form. So generally some solid pieces here. Not a lot of depth at wide receiver after Amari Cooper and Marquise Brown. I think Hunter Renfrow is basically useless this year, so he might be starting 3 running backs, depending on who he puts in his flex between Elijah Mitchell and those receivers that he has. But hey, decent team here, ranked 17th according to Sleeper. I don't think this team's actually that bad, but it's just projections. All right, Eric's team. I also went 2 receivers in the first round, like a couple other people did. I'm big on the receivers this year. I think Garrett Wilson could be a stud. Doubled up on the Jets pretty early with Breece and Garrett Wilson. Breece is going to be on a pitch count, so don't love that, but at least he's a good floor play, I think. That's kind of all you need. You just need guys that aren't going to give you a big goose egg or get injured or whatever. Danny Dimes with the nice rushing touchdown upside at quarterback. And my favorite pick of my own, obviously I'm going to have strong opinions about my own team. So Jamal Williams, I love him. I think he will get me through the first 3 weeks while he is the RB1 instead of Kamara. So I love that. 3 weeks from now I'll probably have new running backs and receivers and whatnot. But I think he'll carry me to survival is at least my own theory. And who needs a defense? I didn't draft one. I'm pretty sure I dropped Rashid Shaheed right after the draft to pick up the Panthers defense. not a lot of good options out there on defense. Some people like Ryan and some other people like to draft 2 defenses, so that hurt me a little bit. I had to take like a bottom 10 defense. That was all that was left. Also waited a while on tight end. I think Juwan Johnson could be a good value pick, but I arguably have pretty weak tight ends, but I think I'm good at running back and receiver. 2 rookie receivers after my top 2, so one of them's got to pan out, right? Mims without Judy. I like my own potential. I like my chances. I'm ranked 14th. I think it's a little low and a little disrespectful. I think that website had me as the second best team. So, hey, I think that website knows what they're talking about. All right. Wait, this isn't Saunders. Wait. Oh. This is supposed to say, gosh, who is this? I'm sorry, I don't know all of you, so this is something here. This is Jack, the other Jack, not Jack Potter. Projected 12th, so right around the middle of the pack. Got Amon Ra, who is active tonight. Joe Mixon in the second. I think at the time it was a reach, but I think Mixon is very undervalued this year, so I don't think in relative terms he was a reach. I think he's a good pick. So should be solid at wide receiver and running back. Going those early. Ingram's a decent tight end. I love the Geno Smith pick. I feel like he's a safe guillotine quarterback play. Maybe later down the line, if you survive a couple weeks, you grab a better quarterback. But Geno Smith should be a good floor play each week. And you potentially grabbed the Colts starting running back in Zach Moss, and I think Roschon Johnson could be the starter for the Bears. A couple weeks in, I know Ryan won't like to hear that. He's big on Khalil Herbert, but I don't know. Roschon's more of the prototypical running back there for the Bears, and Justin Fields needs protection. So I think the Broncos were a great defense. I would have liked to have gotten them, but this is another team that took 2 defenses, so don't love that for my own sake, but good for you, I guess, if you want to hold on to an extra defense. But hey, decent looking team here. Last but not least, we got Saunders, and went heavy. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers in the first 6. It's cool to see the different strategies and to see how this is all going to play out for everyone. But I'm more of a fan of this strategy. I think you can get great tight ends and quarterbacks late. I think Njoku's a great grab later, and Derek Carr and Russell Wilson's. I feel like you're taking a shot that one of those 2 should be good this year, even though they're kind of being undervalued, if you ask me. Also 2 defenses. I don't know what is up with everyone. Like when I played my other Guillotine League last year, no one ever had more than 1 defense or more than 1 quarterback. It was very rare on their team. So you all drafted a little differently. Kind of threw me off. That's how it kind of ended up screwing me for the defense situation. But hey, different strategies can work for different people. So we'll see how that goes. But I think this is a good team. I think I hit everything I wanted to say on this team. Right, projected around the middle of the pack at 9. So yeah, that's it. That is the last slide. Good luck to everyone. I think it'll be very exciting. I think we've talked about it at the end of our Zoom calls or Google Meets or whatever it was. Getting on a call for Monday night, that could be electric because, come Monday night, there's going to be like 3 or 4 teams or so on the shopping block that you're banking on a performance of a player that night. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like that feeling of just being dependent on one guy to save you from not being eliminated. I think I saw that 13 of the 18 of us are in on the $20 buy-in, so the pot is $260, and I believe it's winner takes all, so $260 is on the line. So exciting stuff. That's all I got. Good luck, everyone.